Hey everyone, welcome to Black Southern Belle Live. I am especially excited to be here today to talk to the author Nicole Taylor about something near and dear to my heart, which is Juneteenth, Black people, and her new book, Watermelon and Redbirds. It is a Simon and Schuster publication, and it is flying off the shelves. Um, I'm Hillary Younger, and I am your host for today. And we will be joined by the lovely Nicole Taylor, who is the author. And Nicole will introduce herself.
Hi, Hillary. How are
Hi,
you?
Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. I'm so excited to be talking to you because I'm a native Texan. So
I saw
when
that.
I am a native Texan, 6 generations. So when I saw your book, I was so excited that someone was finally properly commemorating Juneteenth. So
I'm
let's get
honored.
into it.
I know I'm honored. For people who are just tuning in, I'm Nicole Taylor, cookbook author, food writer, and producer. And my latest cookbook, my third cookbook, Watermelon and Redbirds, a cookbook for Juneteenth and Black celebrations, has been in me for such a long time, and it's a beautiful moment to be pausing and leaning into Juneteenth and chilling and relaxing and spending time with friends.
Absolutely. I'm like so excited that someone decided to, like I said, commemorate Juneteenth properly. There's so much controversy around celebrating Juneteenth. And I love the fact that you wrote a cookbook and you shared so much of just the history and the experience and the meaning of the holiday specifically. Tell me what inspired you to write a book about Juneteenth and Black celebrations.
I mean, I always like to start off every conversation by centering the holiday and reminding people that June 19th, 1865 is the day that more than 200,000 enslaved Black Texans found out they were free. And the craziest thing about it is they found out more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This holiday is rooted in Texas,
Yeah.
and that is something people must always remember. What made me decide to write this cookbook? I'm a fourth generation Southerner. I was born and raised in Georgia, and I know people are like, wait, how's she writing a cookbook? She ain't from Texas. But I say this, there's so many Black people who are from Texas, who are from the American South, who their parents or their great grandparents during the Great Migrations decided they would move and go to places like LA. They would go to places like New York, Milwaukee, Seattle. So Juneteenth celebrations are all over the United States of America. The first time I attended a Juneteenth celebration was in a pocket park in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Which is
Okay.
yes, I know, right?
Yeah.
um, and a community-based organization was throwing their annual Juneteenth celebration. So as you know, as a person from Texas, and I'm sure you've gone to a lot of festival parades, backyard parties, there was a stage.
Absolutely.
There was an MC,
Had to
getting
be one.
everybody together on the
Yes.
microphone.
Yes.
There were plenty of vendors. There were vendors there selling African prints,
Yes.
people selling ice cream, ices in the push cart. And the thing that I remember the most about that day, there were young kids. In their faces, you saw nothing but joy, innocence,
Right.
and beauty. And they were strutting around the park on a pony. There was a
Yeah.
Black man there dressed
Yeah.
in cowboy attire.
Black cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were in Fort Greene
Yeah.
riding around or circling around with young people, and just seeing them being so free and at ease put a smile on my face. I have one photo from that day, and that is me literally cheesing. And that was a moment that I knew that Juneteenth would be an annual thing for me and my family. So for more than a decade, I've been celebrating the holiday. I've been in Austin, Texas on Juneteenth weekend, so I've seen how Texas folks do it.
Yes.
Um, I have been in my backyard in Athens, Georgia, with friends, doing the traditional cookout barbecue. I've been on a rooftop in Brooklyn, New York, having a fancy pass the platter around Juneteenth
Type
celebration.
dinner, seated dinner, right? A seated
Exactly.
dinner. Absolutely.
Um, but you couldn't have told me, 10 plus years ago, I would be writing a book about Juneteenth. I've been very privileged and fortunate enough that I wrote several pieces about Juneteenth food for national publications. And
Right.
my agent was like, "You should write a cookbook about Juneteenth." And I deleted her email.
Ah,
Uh, because I was like, the holiday is too niche. But I finally was like, okay, fine. I'll see if this is something that's viable for me to write about my celebrations, about how I have been celebrating Juneteenth, and not only
absolutely.
Juneteenth, other Black holidays. So I started working on the proposal, and the summer of 2020, the summer of
Wow.
2020, after George Floyd was murdered,
Okay.
I knew for certain that this Juneteenth cookbook was needed.
Yeah.
I knew that it was important to write a cookbook that centered Black joy and
Yeah.
that would give many people a blueprint of how to pause, relax, and gather with family and friends.
Right. So this is the thing. I'm glad you interjected, brought George Floyd up because the holiday specifically has Black people completely divided. Like, I currently live in Southern Maryland, and of course, there's a lot of influence from just the diaspora at large. And with me being a Texan, I've had to explain year after year after year after year that Juneteenth is not just like Black people celebrating our oppression or it being late that we were, freed or whatever. Because the reality for me, and I'm not going to commandeer the conversation, is that the way I was taught Juneteenth and to commemorate Juneteenth is to acknowledge the fact that while we were given the Emancipation Proclamation on that day 2 years late, everyone else, all Black people in the world, are still like waiting on true freedom. And I have to tell my friends, my New York friends, my Philly friends, my friends who think they were out just going to Neiman Marcus the day after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. I had to tell them, sweetie, like now George Floyd, like you know, let's not think or act like it's ignorant to celebrate this holiday because in my family, for my tradition in my family, it was a thing where you talked about that ice cream where my grandmother every year we would make homemade ice cream and all of the children would have to
Mm,
go around and we would churn that bucket until our arm got tired and we couldn't stop until our arm got tired and when we got tired, you know what? Someone else, our cousin, sibling, friend of the family would come and they would churn that bucket until their arm got tired. And it was just one of those things and rites of passages that made us know, like, look, we all in this together. And listen, when you grow tired, somebody gonna come pick up
yeah,
the slack for you. They gonna get rest and they'll come back. And
yeah,
that's how we
yeah.
have to do it. We just keep working until the ice cream is made.
So your ice cream story, wow. That is the second time I've heard that story. Literally, the first time I heard that story is from Jerry Williams. She's a prop stylist in New York who did the props for my book. And
Yeah,
she has roots in Oklahoma and Texas. And she
absolutely.
told the exact story of making homemade ice cream at Juneteenth. And when I heard that story from her and now hearing it from you, I feel so good because I dedicated a whole entire chapter to ice cream. And I talk about traditions like
Yeah,
having
yeah.
ice cream on Juneteenth and how gathering around the brown ice cream
That
maker,
big brown wooden one with the rock salt. Like you gotta have the rock salt.
yeah, that is more than just tasting ice cream. It is something that is ingrained in your memory, right? It's about passing on happiness, family, perseverance to the next generation. And so with Watermelon and Redbirds, I wanted to make sure that I rooted the recipes and the stories in history, but also rooting it in the now and giving space for the future. So I love what you just said. You just basically spoke to the past, present, and future. And time in the book, I hope that I interjected exactly what you just said.
I listen, I've seen the book. I think you did an amazing job. As a Texan, I know that people think, oh, she's not from Texas. Like you said, why would she write a book about Juneteenth? But our story, like, when you, like you said, when you talked about migrating and people moving, everyone has a cousin from Texas. Okay. It's just like everybody's from South Carolina, kind of a little bit. Everyone knows someone, has someone, a family member from Texas. So, and we celebrate. That's the other thing. We celebrate. So okay, I'm gonna throw this out there because I know this has been a little bit of a controversy here lately. And we talked about ice cream, and
Ha!
I know you already listen. I have to ask. I have to
I'm
ask. I
ready
have to
for
do a
you.
little Wendy Williams. Okay.
I'm
um,
ready.
so I know how I felt about the Walmart situation with the ice cream and Juneteenth and the trademarking. Um, because you've written this book. I didn't feel I saw your book. I saw Nicole Taylor. I opened, I realized who the author was. I had a lot of friends post about you, felt no type of way. When I saw that ice cream, I kind of it was
Yeah,
a cringy moment for me.
yeah.
So I want to know how you felt recently when we saw the controversy in the news surrounding Juneteenth and the Walmart ice cream.
Well, I mean, I I think that I address how I feel about products
Yeah,
and Juneteenth in the book. And one of the ways I say it, but I don't say it, is there's an entire section dedicated to Black owned businesses, dedicated to not only Black owned business, but people who identify as Indigenous or people of color, where
right,
I say, here are some of my favorite Black owned, Indigenous, or POC ice cream brands, right?
right.
So I feel, and I often say that Juneteenth for non-Black Americans who are figuring out how to honor um, Texas and honor June 19th, 1865. One way to do it, one actionable thing, is to support a Black-owned business. Um,
Absolutely, to redirect
I
to
think that's the easiest thing to do. I also think that as Black people and as Americans, spending so much time on a product um, and commentating on the product, it can be counterproductive.
marketing.
There are so many things that we can talk about that are positive that are happening around Juneteenth right now, and so many folks like Creamalicious who have a red velvet and cheesecake, like La New Yorkina, who's from Mexico, who has a corn ice cream. There's so many brands that we can uplift, and I just think the moment was too much conversation about
Nothing.
something we don't have a lot of control over.
Something that we
And
cannot control. I agree. But I also felt that because the true meaning of Juneteenth and why we commemorate it and why it's actually a holiday, we know we can look to so many other cultures of people who have similar shared experiences of oppression and release, like the Holocaust or the Trail of Tears, and no one would make an ice cream for those things. And I think that what happens is we don't tell our own stories. So the fact that you wrote the book and you're telling the story is important. So there is no revisionist history. So
exactly.
things don't get misconstrued. So we have the true facts. And I think that in these celebrations, we should definitely always sit down and pass along the knowledge first and do the celebrating, you know, all the way until, it's time to go home. I was talking earlier to the crew about, how as Black people, it doesn't matter what happens. If Big Mama dies, at the end, somebody is gonna cha-cha slide, electric slide, Cupid shuffle. We just celebrate. That's how we are culturally. We like to have a good time. We like to feel high energy at the end of everything. Church is, you leave church on a
Yeah.
high, when you shout. So it's just culturally who we are. And I think that a lot of
And
times
you
people get
can't take that
confused
away.
about it. Don't take that away.
You
It's
can't.
it's a
I
part of
think
who we are, and it's beautiful.
what you just described is something that's ingrained in us, right? It is a
Absolutely.
part of our Juneteenth celebrations. It is a part of Black celebrations. You said something um, that I keep saying over and over again: the importance of your auntie's potato salad. Who makes a potato salad at your? Now, I'm gonna ask you that question, Hillary. Who is the person that makes a potato salad at your Juneteenth celebration?
So it used to be my grandmother, right?
Okay.
And now, guess what? This is the thing. This is how I know I'm about to be the matriarch. Like literally, nobody is
Oh, look
about to be
at
able
that!
to stop me because I make the potato salad now
And the
and the
story.
greens.
So, who made it before your grandmother, and who else knows how to make it?
And that's the thing, if my grandmother didn't make it, my great aunt made it. But before my grandmother, I don't know because I wasn't there.
Well,
Like,
you know two women, and now you're the third person in your family who makes the potato salad. And I think I start my potato green, and fruit salad chapter off with a very funny essay about potato salad. But in the funniness, what I'm trying to tell people is that you can't take that knowledge of potato salad cannot be commoditized. It
no.
can't be bought, it can't be replicated. The stories around the
Yeah.
potato salad, the laughter, the act of rolling up on the table, looking
Yes.
at it. And so that's why it's so important to have recipes, talk about recipes, write them down, put your own spin on them. And that's what I say time and time in the Up South Cookbook. This is a guide. Use my recipes, but also take Juneteenth and other Black celebrations as an opportunity to talk to your family about traditions.
And
Um,
create your own.
Correct.
And create your own because those are the ties that bind. That's why we can travel from internationally and encounter other Black people and have shared experiences and feel familiar and feel at home with people because we have a real culture here that we've created. And maybe your potato salad don't have as much paprika on top as mine, but you got to put a little. If Listen, if the devil eggs don't have a little red paprika on top, they might not be right, Nikki. They just might not be right. So I think this is so beautiful. So talk to us. I like how you started talking about ways that we can foster our own celebrations and commemorate. Give us some like real stuff, like break it down for us, like some ideas about how we can celebrate Juneteenth this year in our families, in our homes, by ourselves, however.
Well, I say this. This is by saying is there's more than one way to get to the mall. Like someone might take the train, someone may walk, or someone may, get in their Benz and drive to the mall. It doesn't matter. And it's the same approach with Juneteenth. Like there's not one way to do Juneteenth. I do offer up in my cookbook what I consider the essential foods of Juneteenth. And I
Okay.
would say, first off, you need a red drink.
Yeah, yes, you need some red Kool-Aid. You need some red drink. You need something red. Yes.
You need a red punch. I feel like punch is the easiest way to start talking to people that you don't really want to talk to or you haven't spoken with in a long time at the cookout because you got to go to the communal punch bowl or
The
dispenser.
bowl. Hmm.
And so it forces you to have a conversation. So if you could do red drinking and you're hosting a lot of folks, definitely do the strawberry lemonade that I have. You can do it without alcohol and have your little booze on the side, but make that for sure. So you agree, Texan, the red drink is an essential.
Absolutely, because even if you don't talk to cousin Keisha and she, y'all not cool, when you walk up there, you be like, Keisha, can you pass me a cup?
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? You have to
Exactly.
break the ice. You have to break the ice. And
Exactly.
then from there, y'all,
Exactly. So the red drink is essential. Another essential. So I have this entire chapter called Festivals and Fairs because I know a lot of times before we go to the cookout, we may go to the parade.
you have to go to a parade. Have to. And in Texas, there has to be horses and there have to be cowboys.
Exactly. And you know the great food at the parade because it is the vendor that has the longest line. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And fried fish.
Fish. But barbecue.
Uh, uh, well, I'm gonna talk about the parade food first.
Oh, the
Oh,
parade
well,
food. Well, this, Texas, we
turkey
have at least
legs,
somebody
turkey
with some
legs.
yes in there. Yes, turkey legs.
So I'm telling people like if you're not going to the parade this year, you can recreate some of the classic parade foods like the turkey leg. I have a recipe for that.
Yes.
I have a fried shrimp, fried fish recipe, and my favorite is the freaking funnel cake.
Oh, oh, you got a homemade funnel cake recipe in this book?
Golden
How did I not see it?
fluffy funnel cake
The powdered
sprinkled
sugar.
with a light cloud of powdered sugar. And what I love about my funnel cake recipe is not like really sweet. It's like just right.
Yes.
And you can have it with or without the apple topping.
Oh,
Or if you're into mango, I give you an option for a mango topping as well. So
wow, the remix. I love this.
you
I
like it?
love this modern spin on all of these things.
So I feel like when you go to the parade, you just want to get a little snack
Hmm.
before you go to the cookout or the barbecue. And so rolling into the cookout and barbecue chapter in my cookbook, I feel like, okay, hold up. I know I got a Texas here. I know you want brisket, right? Is that correct, Hillary?
Every every time the sun comes up.
So you want brisket. I opted in watermelon and redbirds to do a big, what I call Fred Flintstone beef rib, like a short
Oh,
rib.
yes, a big beef rib. Yes.
I feel like that gives the same vibe as a brisket. And for people who are doing Juneteenth for the first time or honoring Juneteenth for the first time, I'm like, let me give somebody something easy because you can mess up a brisket. When you agree?
You can absolutely mess up a brisket. If you are not a brisket nair ear tier, then a brisket sewer. I don't even know what we're gonna call them, but if you can totally mess up a brisket. But also that beef rib is just elevated. Like it looks pretty just sitting up there on your cutting board too. With the
And the
bone.
sauces, in my barbecue chapter, I have beef ribs, I have pork ribs, I have a chicken burger, and I put the chicken burger in there because I have so many friends that show up and they're like, "Oh, I'm not eating
I
beef,
don't eat
yeah,
this. I don't
I'm
eat
not
that.
eating pork." So why not do a very juicy, succulent chicken burger? I
Right.
I approach my chicken burger just like I approach meatloaf. Like I don't want no dry meat, right? So it's
And
warm
we
juice.
have to have those healthy options because again, evolving into, you know,
Yeah,
more health conscious
totally.
people. Yeah.
I have mushrooms in that chapter, and I have baked beans that
Yes.
are vegetarian. That actually, someone told me they're actually vegan. I'm like, oh, they are vegan. Um, so yeah, but let me say this about the barbecue chapter. And one of the things that I did, and I think is essential, like you want the sauce. You want some kind of sauce on your barbecue. So I have like 5 or 6 sauces in the very beginning of the book that you can pair with your beef ribs, like my harissa sauce
Okay.
or my rhubarb barbecue sauce, which a lot of people are tagging me and they're like, "Woo!" It is. I feel like it's like a mix between a Heinz 57 and like a kind of tangy, sweet store bought sauce, but it's homemade.
But it's
Um,
homemade. Okay.
So I have a rhubarb barbecue sauce, and of course hot sauce. Some people they don't like a big slather. They like their meat
So
done
I was
perfectly.
gonna
A little hot sauce.
Texans believe in dry rub. We are the dry rub people. So we believe that you should be able to eat your meat with or
Of
without
course.
sauce. Yes.
And guess
Um,
what? I have a dry rub for folks. So if you are a dry rub person or a saucy person, um, go for it. I mean,
girl,
I
I'm
in,
hungry. Like
in,
having this conversation, I'm so hungry. Like
me
I
too.
like I'm just ready to come over your house and sit down and eat.
And listen, we should tell folks, because you just brought up something that's super important, and I mentioned it a bit in the text about barbecue. Like, it ain't the same. Texas barbecue is its own freaking thing. And even when you get to Texas, within Texas, you have hill country, you have
Yes.
East Texas barbecue.
Yes.
Texas is its own thing. And then when you go outside of the state of Texas, and for me, growing up in Georgia, I feel like the barbecue that I grew up eating and the whole pig that I remember seeing in the ground
Yes.
tasting is most reminiscent of South Carolina style barbecue.
Yes. Yes.
So there are different styles of barbecue, and I say to people on Juneteenth, do your thing. What did your folks grow up eating and doing, or what tradition do you want to start out? So there again, there's no right or wrong way, but you definitely need to grill something
You
and
have to
cook
have
it.
the if you don't smell some smoke from the grill, specifically with a little wood in there, then it's just not quite Juneteenth, specifically in Texas. Now, this is the thing. I agree with you. Remix it, celebrate the holiday, commemorate the holiday, talk. Like, the thing that I think we have gotten away from more than anything is we jump right into the party, you know?
Mm,
But we really need to tell the story first, because how will our children know? How will people who are not familiar know? Because we're not just engaging with Black American people anymore.
yeah,
Now, the diaspora is present here. And a lot of times, like, I have an African neighbor, and I went to a celebration at their house yesterday, and they were like, come on and dance. And they were doing like some specific dancing. And I was like, baby, I'm from South Dallas. I mean, I could South Side, I could do, like some other stuff, but this right here, I'm not sure. Like, y'all have to teach this to me. So I
yeah,
think that there is an important thing that we have to do before we get to the party, and that's have the conversation,
I agree.
teach the
Well,
lesson.
well, it's like how we started this conversation. I like to start my Juneteenth celebration always um, with a prayer or a
Yeah,
toast,
yeah,
always. And it is to center what we're doing, and to give thanks to the ancestors, and to
please.
say thank you to the Most High for keeping us here and for the ability to entertain people. I
Yeah.
can't tell you a time in my life that I haven't started any celebration that I have. And that's when the first people get there, where I'm raising a glass or praying. And let me just say this, I'm a glass snob. Don't like the red and blue cups, especially when I'm doing that, when I am honoring my people. I like to let's bring out the highballs.
Level up. Let's at
Let's bring
least
out
just, it should make a little noise. It should make
let's
a little
bring out
noise.
the stemless glasses or the
Yes.
stemless stem glasses.
Let's eat on real silverware. Are we
Yeah,
really Southern Belles if we don't do that? Do we
and
have cloth napkins?
Southern Bells too always start off a celebration with giving honor, honoring our elders that are there and acknowledging them. That is super important. I was taught that is something that's in me that has never gone away. So you literally need to say out of your mouth June 19th, 1865. Don't leave off the Texas part. Don't say that's when the day that Black Americans were slavery was ended. That not true.
No,
Kind of, but not really. But
not really.
you have to say it with your full throat what
Mhm.
Juneteenth is. So that is a must.
But until all of my people are free, none of us are free. That was something that was given to me at
Mm,
Juneteenth. Until all of my people are free, none of us are free. So literally, it was so succinct. And as a
mm,
2-year old, or 3-year old, or 10-year old, it's like, in one ear out the other. But when it's repeated over and over and over and over again, at the point that I'm 17 now, um, it means so much to me. It means so much to me. So this has been great. This has been great. And I am so excited for the book. I'm so excited for people to have the book. I believe that it should be one of those household staples that's on the shelf,
I
a go
agree.
to. Don't just cook the recipes on Juneteenth. It's for Black celebrations. And if you're Black, then you should celebrate every single day, right? So, Nikki,
Totally.
tell us where we can get the book.
Well, it's so funny that you said that last part because I have a whole chapter called Everyday Juneteenth. And literally, that is what I'm telling people, that the essence of Juneteenth can be an everyday thing. In the middle of winter when you see sleet falling from the sky, or there's a horrible tornado that's 5 towns over, and you're like, woo, am I going to be safe? Here are some recipes that comfort you and hug you and is still rooted in the African American table, in the Black American table. So I dedicated a whole day to Everyday Juneteenth. I think it's so
Absolutely.
important for us to bring the spirit of freedom and jubilation into our lives at very simple moments. It can change your whole entire day. It's super important for folks to do.
Just a little bit of joy. And you know what? I found myself notice. See, the ratchet always comes out of me. I found myself talking about some Nikki, and you didn't even give me permission to do that. I'm sorry, Nicole Taylor.
Oh, it's
I
fine.
apologize.
People do that. I don't have that name, but people do that, and I'm like, it's
I
there's a
shouldn't have done
certain
that.
there's a certain energy, right? That
Yeah.
that oftentimes when you're at celebrations and you meet people for the first time, or somebody brings a plus one, you connect with them and they
You
start
do.
calling you,
Yes. Yes.
and you don't correct them. You just roll with it, right? And
You
so
did, but I had to correct myself because that's not okay, you know? But I felt like you said, like we've been talking. So now I feel like we've been talking before. So I'm over here like, Nikki, don't do that because her name is Nicole Taylor, guys. Her name is Nicole Taylor. Look for the book under Nicole Taylor, okay?
and listen, now that we're connected, you're gonna have to tell me all of the dessert recipes that your folks have at Juneteenth,
I
so I
got
can
you.
make sure that I did
That
right
they're
by
covered.
Texas.
You did. You did. I listen. I've perused. You did. You did a great job.
Good.
Two thumbs
Happy to
up.
hear it. Happy to
Two
hear it.
thumbs up. For sure. So this has been great. I look forward to more cookbooks from you. I look forward to more conversations. I look forward to learning more from you. This has been beautiful. I want to thank you on behalf of the culture for giving us this gem of a book and being, because I think this is maybe like the first Juneteenth cookbook. Am I?
This is the first Juneteenth cookbook, first cookbook dedicated to Juneteenth. It's crazy to say that, and I will say, like, I'm so excited about the Juneteenth books that are going to come behind me because there's so many
Absolutely.
stories to tell, and I am honored to be able to open up this door and honored to be able to talk to you guys. And I am
And we want to thank the publisher, right? For
Simon and Schuster has been amazing. Um, they let me break a lot of rules
yeah,
in terms of design, and I thank them for that. And I think so many people, like in the last 4 days, I think the book came out on Tuesday, I can't even remember, have been tagging me, making stuff already, and it just brings me so much joy. I am excited about spending Juneteenth with my family and friends this year more than ever.
well, Nicole, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited about Juneteenth every year, but I'm even more excited. I will
Thank you.
definitely have this book on my kitchen island so my friends can see, my family can see and peruse. And
I'm going to
best,
say
oh yeah,
one more thing.
go
I
ahead.
didn't tell people. Everyone's been asking me how can they get signed copies. If you
How can we
are
get signed copies?
if you are listening to us live now on IG and you go over to Greenlight Bookstore, they have a link. You can buy books from them and make a note, and I'll sign them. I'm actually doing a event that I've been told via people texting me that is at capacity, but you still can buy a book from them and have it signed. And also in my hometown of Athens, Georgia, there's a beautiful bookstore called Avid Bookshop, and they are selling my books, and I'll be signing them. And when you buy from them, there is a special 5x7 poster that my designer and a fabulous artist, George McCallman, who's based in San Francisco, he designed. It's a Juneteenth food pyramid. So you get that. So go to those two spots. They have signed copies. They can ship all over the country. That's how you can get a signed copy.
Beautiful. Greenlight and Avid Books, right?
Avid Bookshop. Yep, and Greenlight
Okay.
Bookshop.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, listen. This has been amazing. Nicole's book literally is going to fly off the shelves because y'all are so interested in Juneteenth. Absolutely, because I said so. And I want to thank Black Southern Belle Live for having us here together. And I hope you guys learned something. I hope you had a good time. And go get the book,
Thank you.
Watermelons and Redbirds.